Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is a very special video that I have been planning on doing for a while now. With me, I have Phillipe Deblire, and he is one that has recreated the XRP crypto asset valuation tool. And he's also incorporated a couple of other digital assets. And what this is about, if you are not familiar with it, is a few years back, Ripple had on their board a Susan Athey. She is an economics of technology professor. She's a PhD and senior fellow at Stanford. She also has her degree from Duke. She taught at MIT, Stanford, and Harvard. Serving on the board in the past with these 21 awards and honors. She is a real scholar. And the two of them, Robert Mitchnick and Susan, put together this valuation tool that allows you to plug in different parameters based on fundamentals, transactions, demand. And Phillipe is going to explain it to us, because I think in the onset, it looks a little confusing, but actually it's not. And you can actually source the paper or the report of what they wrote so that you can understand why those particular components are asked of you to actually project a price. Now, everyone knows I'm not a big TA person, meaning that I weigh a lot in this market because it is immature on sentiment. I really believe that the greed, fear with news drives this market. Now, I do love some of the TA tools, and we were just briefly speaking before we hit the record button, Phillipe and I, and he loves to use the Ichimoku clouds, and I do too. You know, from being in Japan, when I learned that the original candle to project future price of rice originated in Japan, I was very early in trying to learn the technical analysis with all of the charting. And I think it's great, but I think that it misses a lot of components still. It doesn't take into account sentiment. And when we take TA plus sentiment and this crypto asset valuation tool, I really believe you have a much deeper insight as to looking at where the price might trend. So Phillipe, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. Please,
all the pleasure is mine.
Give a little bit of an intro for everyone.
You want an intro on me?
Yeah, just a little one.
So for the ones who already know me, who don't know me, I'm Belgian. So it's one of the smallest countries in the world. So when you look at the Earth, it's a little point, not more than that. But still, there are people living in it, and I'm a computer scientist. That's I have a degree in computer science, and I've always been interested in mathematics and calculations of some sorts and finance in general. So I thought that using the report to recreate the valuation calculator was an opportunity for me just to do a new experience, I would say, and to complete also the range of tools that are available on the internet to provide users a way to have an insight on how could be an asset valuated in the future.
Yeah, and I don't want to miss talking about Robert Mitchnick. He was the other person who helped Susan do this particular original tool, and he was at the time an MBA candidate at Stanford, and then he went on to work, he worked for Ripple for a short period of time, and now I do believe he is with BlackRock doing their crypto assets. So we've got a basis, a foundation here in what Phillipe has taken in its core from some real brains, and I just can't wait to see how this utility with the store of value and the demand, how it can tweak the price going forward in the future. And Phillipe is going to take us, I think, section by section to help us understand how it works. So Phillipe, go ahead. I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. So you see the screen now?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so I choose XRP for the presentation. Actually, just to provide you with a little explanation of the UI, so the presentation here of the screen, you have actually all the fields in white that has to be fulfilled. And on the right side, you have the explanation that corresponds to the field you're writing in. So if I click on another field, you will see that it will provide you the explanation that corresponds to the field you want to put a value in. So it also starts with default values to help you to start with something, because I know that when it's empty, it's very difficult to say, okay, what kind of value I'm going to put in. So it starts with a low estimate that comes from the report. Of course, the report was made in 2018, and now we are in 2021. And since then, everyone can see that there were new use cases. There were some things that has evolved since then. So I did some little changes in the values to be more accurate to the reality of today. You have a high estimation. Okay, okay, here. That also comes from the report. And if you want to dream and create sort of a miracle, just can click on, like, for example, the 589 valuation. It will give you the numbers you have to get to the $589 for one coin.
And that's really getting everyone back to earth, isn't it?
Yeah, when I'll explain, yes. Then you have the help. If you don't care about the help because you're a specialist in the fields, you can just remove it. So it will take less place and be easy, and maybe be easier to fulfill. Or and you have also the newbie one. Actually, if you unclick it, it will provide you with all the fields that exist. So you can do evaluation without filling all the fields and use the default values, because some values do not change. Okay. So I start with the all expanded, so it will be easier for the explanation. So that was for the UI. The last thing I would say, if you change a value, for example, locked supply here, I have 40 billion. If you change it and you say, okay, no, it's 60 billion. If you want to get the new values, you have to click on here on the button to have the new values that display. So that's how it works. So now, for the explanation, I'll start with the future value. What does it mean, a future value? The future value is the one that is when the market is mature. They call that in the report the steady state. It means that it's stable.
Steady state?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's how they call that. It means that it doesn't mean it cannot grow, but it will grow less than from now until the steady state.
Did they give a projection of year of when that steady state?
Yeah, they say they made the steady state at 2030.
2030. Interesting. Okay.
That's the year. So every time you fill in a value in here in the white fields, you have to think that it will be at steady state.
Okay.
Not today.
Okay.
Okay. So you can, for each field that are in color, there is a formula behind it. So if I click on supply, you will see the supply is a bunch of other, it's a formula. Okay. If I click on the blue, you will see there is another formula. Okay. Oh. So each colored one cannot be changed because there is a formula behind it that uses the fields that are above. Okay. So you can understand that the 2 blue makes the green, the 2 green makes the orange. Okay. That's how it works. So it's I would say, a mnemotechnic way of understanding how the calculation is made. Okay, so what's the value? The value, as defined by Michnik and Susan, is actually the demand, the volume demand. Okay, the demand divided by the supply.
Yeah.
So it's quite simple from that way. Now, what we have to do is to define where comes the demand from, and where comes the supply from.
Ah, okay.
And when I say what does it come from, is it okay? What are the bases? What are the numbers do you have to use to define the demand? So what they started from? They started from here, which is the maximum transaction volume. The transaction volume is the utility, and that's is the demand for a specific use case. That's what it is. Okay.
So
or for all the use cases that are known for that currency.
So it could be coil transactions, could be
Yes.
ODL transactions,
Yes.
could
Yeah.
be trading and selling transactions
Yeah.
on an exchange.
Yeah.
It's every transaction.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Exactly that. And maybe it can be also for Flare networks that are the XRP that I used. It's when you decide that these are the moving XRPs used for utility in general and for trading and for stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but at steady state. So it means that at steady state, we expect to have a specific volume every day.
And we expect to have probably more use cases too.
Yeah. So far, when the TN means trillions. Okay. BN means like here means billions.
Billions. Mm-hmm.
And so what they say that in the maximum value they estimate per day is somehow 500 billion in volume, okay, for utility.
Wow.
Per day on the XRP chain, okay, for all the use cases. It might be more in 2030, because when this was said, they only figure out for remittances and a bit of all the on-demand liquidity. But they didn't know about all the coming use cases that we know now. We have Flare networks, we might have some others, and so maybe interoperability with other networks that were not there at that time.
The DeFis that people are using to wrap, etc.
Yeah. So it will probably be, I would say, more, but this was already a high value, because the low value was only like 200 billions.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's too low.
I think it's too low too, but I think they were I was cautious about the numbers.
Yeah.
So let's say for the moment that we take that amount. Okay, they say per day we estimate that we have 500 billion. Then what they need to define the demand, demand is just a value in trillion. So what we have to remove from there is the time notion, which, because it's trillions per day. So what they use is a very special value, which is the liquidity latency. That's quite a complex concept, but the easiest way to understand it, I will click on it, maybe it will, okay. For the newbies, don't touch it, because most of the time the value I put, you don't have to understand and just reuse it.
Just go with it, yeah.
What it means is actually, it's the time in between the reuse of the same token, I would say.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Because token in ODL could be used maybe 2 or 3 times in a day.
Yeah, but it means that if you have a long time between the reuse of 2 tokens, it means that you have a very liquid market.
Because it's just sitting there waiting to be used.
Yes, and waiting to be used because you need less token to transfer a high amount of value. Okay, so the larger the number is, the more liquid the market is.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's what it means. So we can expect that at steady state as a high value for XRP, because there are many tokens, but there will be the main use case is on-demand liquidity. So it should move a lot. They say that it would be just something around 10 days between reuse of two tokens.
So that's the latency period, roughly 10 days before it's used again on a kind of average basis.
Yes. So it means that,
okay.
Yeah. So if you want to know the value, then you just have to multiply trillions per day by day. So you get a number, a value.
I gotcha.
So quite easy. Okay. So now you have the amount of demand. Okay. Now what you have to do is to define what will be the store of value or speculation, as you said when we discussed earlier.
And you're talking purely price, right? The speculation of price or the speculation of use?
Speculation of price. So you store something for a long time in expectation to make a profit later.
Right.
But in between, we know that if the price get high, some will sell and some other will buy. So it's just pure for speculation, store of value. It can be in escrow, stuff like, because in escrow you can't access the token.
Right.
Or for example, if it's mined, you know that will be, for example, for Bitcoin, you know that we have only 18 million, but we know we have like 2.5 million that are not accessible. Okay?
Right.
But it's in 2030. Okay.
But this is so important because this is where, TA doesn't take into effect at all this component at all. This is why I think this is so important. Right.
Yeah. So it means that for the store of value is based on something. So you have to compare it something, okay, for the store value. And what is the most well-known store of value in the world? It's gold. Okay, because we have 5,000 years of experience and more. And currently, it's they estimate that the store value for gold at steady state will be around 11.5 trillion. Okay, that's the demand for store of value. So people asking and people are selling the store of value because of speculation and stuff like that. So that's the amount. So this is a value that has been defined by the two researchers, and is against that value that the store of value demand will be calculated.
And currently gold's sitting at around between 7 and 8, right?
Possibly, I didn't check.
I think, yeah, okay. So I was just calculating in my brain. Then you're saying that it has a runway of about 7 trillion more.
Oh yeah, maybe it can be
4
7 or 8. Yeah, that's possible. So so in the future at steady state it should be 11 trillion. It means that now we have to say, okay, what will be the market share taken by the crypto of that demand, of that 11 trillion? Okay, would it be like 10% in value, 12%, knowing that it would be easier for people to buy an asset than now to buy gold? I don't buy gold, but I bought assets for a speculative objective. So those 11 trillions are value for gold. That's true, but we can. It's not because we take 30% that we will remove it from the 11 trillion. Okay, those percentage of the market can be created besides the 11 trillion of gold because it's a new market. But at least we know that gold, those 11 trillion by gold is sort of a glass roof, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
You can go up, but it will be difficult because since 5,000 years, that's the amount we have now. Okay, if I will have in several years. So it's difficult to say, oh, now Bitcoin will have a store value of 15 billion or 15 trillion, because it took 5,000 years to get to 11 trillions. How can you go in several weeks, for example, to 15 trillion? It's impossible. So maybe it can grow very fast, but there is be a certain moment of time it will be reduced in velocity in terms of expansion. I don't say it can go higher than the 11 trillion, but at least it will be difficult to have more than that, or at least reach that amount.
Mm.
That's what I mean. So here we took in a high perspective, they say that in a higher projection, they say that it could be something around 30% of those 11 trillion. We know that Bitcoin is higher, okay? But if you have like, and that's where you begin to get back on Earth, it's that when, if you have like 11 or 12 or 20 cryptos, it will be difficult to give 50% to everyone.
Yeah, right.
And then you see, okay, 30% is really a high amount.
Mm.
Okay. It's possible. I don't say it's impossible, but
yeah.
It's and you know, Ripple is not, XRP is not a token that is basically made for people to store. If you ask the man in the street, the only one he knows is Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum, okay, and Dogecoin, of course, because Elon Musk talk about it. But and these are the maybe Dogecoin can replace Bitcoin in the future. We don't know. Okay, it's possible. I don't do any projection, but it's these kind of things can happen. So that's why we have to. What they decided is, okay, we can take a market share from the gold market, the entire gold market, and that's what it does. Here I don't see. Okay, it's open completely, perfect. So the storage demand value here is like say here 3 trillion. So the demand is just the sum of the two demand. Transaction demand and the store value demand. That's the sum, and it makes you the demand. Okay, that's the cat. You're here. You want to go out? Sorry. Then we have to define the supply. Okay. First, we have a notion which is called fractional reserve. The simplest way I did understand it, for newbie, I say, okay, don't try, skip this one, because it's I think it's for tokens that are inflationary.
I see. So
when you have more in the future than you have now, it could be a number less than one if it's something you burned across time.
Yeah, right. So for this one, just leave it in the default position is probably best. Okay.
Yeah, because normally it won't change, and the burn rate is too low to be significant in 2030.
Yeah, right.
Maybe if you do that in 100 years, you can say, okay,
it can be it'd be a quantifiable amount, right?
Okay, that's what it means. So it can stay like that. So the total supply of here XRP is 100 billion. So no specific explanation. Then the locked supply is the one that will be not available at the time at steady state. So in 2030, okay. But it's the one that will not be circulating for sure. So it's not available.
Yeah, because we won't have all 100 billion circulating in 2030.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think the escrow will still be there and for a very long time, especially if the price of XRP gets up. Because if you want to buy 100 billion each month, if it's $1, it's okay. But if it's $5, it's way more money. So that's why I think there will be still some items that are locked, tokens that are locked. Also, you can speculate on the fact that will be some lost token.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah, of course. That's just to be expected.
Yeah.
That would be
or
natural.
You can put the burned one here. It's a choice. You can say, okay, I have 100 billion, but I burned like 2 billions. So these won't not be available too. So it's up to you to decide where you put the burn ones. You can put in total supply, or you can put in locked supply.
And for people who may not understand those lost, you could lose lose your keys to a wallet. You could pass away and not have given your information on to your family members. So yeah, there's a lot of chances for all digital assets to actually be lost forever. Okay.
And if you have 20 XRP per wallet and you have 100 wallet,
and if even though you can get some of it back if you but there always remains a little bit tied up forever. Yeah. right.
So these are the kinds of numbers that in 2030 might have an impact. Not now because it's too early, but
Yeah.
at steady state it might have an impact.
Okay.
So the supply is actually the total supply minus what is locked multiplied by the fractional reserve. It's 1, so it doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what the supply that remains. That's what it means. Okay.
Got
at that time. And so what you have to do is just divide the demand by the supply and you get the value.
Got it.
So it's quite an easy stuff.
Yeah.
Not very complex. So when it becomes funny is when you want to, you say, okay, that's nice. I have a price in 2030, but maybe I'll be dead by that time, so it won't be of any use. I would like to know what the price today and today of this year, what should be the price, and because it's an evaluation. And of course, this evaluation cannot count the bull runs, because we cannot predict when it happened and how high it goes and what will be the retracement. It's impossible. So the only way to calculate what will be the price today is to take the steady state value and just deduct each year the same amount until today.
Oh.
Okay. That's what they call a discount. Okay. So how you calculate that? So first you have to define the steady state year. So we already did it. Then you try to decide, okay, what will be the date, the current date. Okay. So we can put here, it will be, for example, 2021. So it will be this date. And then you have a market growth. So the market growth is how much the market from today or from the date you decide, because you can put to 2024, for example. So between those, now we have 9 years, okay, between the two. Between those 9 years, what would be the average growth percentage per year?
Say it one more time. The average growth.
So my market, okay. So all the values that I filled in here for steady state, they start normally. If you want to know how it evolves, you have to say, okay, how much from now on will all those values grow each year?
Okay.
Grow each year, okay? How much my transaction volume and my
3%, 4%, 5%.
That's it. Okay. So I have to define a value. From the report, they say, okay, it could be something around 8.5% per year. Could be more, could be less. I don't know, but that's what they say. Okay. And
from the report, that's what they said.
Yeah. Okay.
I see. That's important to know.
Yeah. No, yeah. The numbers here are from the report. Normally it's 2018, but okay. Now we are in 2020. So if I calculate from the high value and the number that are here, we should be at $6 today. It's this year. That's what it says. And the success use case, they gave an explanation, but it's an explanation that is difficult to figure out. They said it's the chances for the token to succeed at steady state. Okay. So what are the chances today to succeed and to reach the volumes and the numbers we have put it in? Okay.
That sounds like the adoption rate to me.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So adoption rate. Or I prefer to say, okay, what is the chances? Yeah, for the new buy, what are my chances to be rich? But it's it's not that one. But actually, it's the probability to for my use cases to be fulfilled.
Right.
That's the use case. I prefer to take it like that. It's easier to understand.
Yeah.
So I have 5 use cases.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
What is the percentage today of fulfillment of those use cases?
Or like I've heard Naveen Gupta say that the goal is to get ODL liquid in the top 20 to 30 corridors. You know, that would be considered a very big component if we have those 20 to 30 major corridors truly liquid with XRP. That's going to be achieving that maximum use case.
So now if we have, for example, FLA networks, we can estimate it will be, now we have maybe at 1% of FLA networks. what would it be at? Are we at 1%, knowing that in 2030 we hope to be at 100%? Okay,
Right.
and 100% means that we have put in Flare networks all the market possible that exists, or that we try to reach or to put in. Okay, and now we estimate that, okay, we did 1% or maybe 0%, but we have to take that into account also. And so globally, they say that, okay, today in 2021, we are at, for example, at 10% for all those use cases. Okay, of course, if you have a 20%, okay, the impact on the price is that.
Yeah, change it and see what it does.
So if you have 20%, that the value this year should be at 12.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
And it's logical, huh? If you have, for example, 1% that is done, we should have 0.62. Okay, so the calculation is a bit for the discount is a bit complex, because it's a linear calculation of that is deducted from the steady state value until the year where you want your estimate to be done. So it uses a negative exponent. So it's a bit complex, but okay, that's the goal is to understand that, okay, my market will grow each year for that percentage, and that's it. And I estimate that currently my use cases, available use cases or future use cases, globally, everything is at, like, this year is 10%, or this year, the year you want to know the value. That's it. So as you can see, I think it's not that complex to use. You can use the newbie one, so it uses the basis value. Okay, it's supposed that you don't want to change the value of the gold, the total gold market, because if you want, you can, for example, if you take you choose BTC and you want the million, okay, you can say, okay, gold market share, you can say, okay, I have 75%, locked supply is 9 million, for example, that cannot be reached anymore because many people have lost or their stuff, and you have a transaction volume of 65 billion. This is a bit around the number that was given by the report. So it's not in trillion here, it's in billion, because the objective of Bitcoin is not to do transactions. Right. You can do it, but it's not its main.
That's not going to be such a factor to plug in, and it's more of
you can still buy a car, you can store it, but there is some limitations to it.
Right, it's more of the demand.
Yeah, and it's more the SOV market. So and market growth is 10% because their supply, I estimated the supply was less.
Yeah, very reasonable.
So it grows faster than another one, and so it gives you this year. And it's funny because I tried honestly to fill in with an estimation that I found okay, still acceptable. Okay, and then this year it should go to 127,000, and it's the price that was given by the TA analyst that the bull run could go up to. That's funny. So
so
sometimes
it sounds reasonable.
Yeah, well, 70%. It's a lot of trillions, huh? In 9 years, we have to reach like 75% of 11 trillion. It's a lot of money in demand. So it's very high. That number is quite a lot of money. So I'm not sure it will be possible, but who knows? Because it's supposed that somehow it's supposed that Bitcoin will be nearly the only one doing that kind of use case.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is the market dominance in this particular scenario? Does it have a market dominance in this?
No.
No.
No, they don't use that. But the fact that, for example, let's say that Dogecoin just get a very high attraction, and many people want to do the store value of it with it, then it will take shares of the Bitcoin ones.
Yeah, well, I think everything that is moving forward that is going to prove out to be successful is going to, of course, take a little bit of that share. It's just the pie is only so big.
Yeah.
And the one thing I want to say about Dogecoin is because it is a governance of the people, they might decide to change the way that the distribution occurs. We don't know that. It's going to be a decision based on the market of holders, and they could decide to. Who knows? They could decide to look at XLM. They burnt all those tokens. They could decide to burn tokens with Doge and to cap it and to make it a limited. So there are so many valuables that you just can't discount a project like Dogecoin, because you don't really know in the future how that governance is going to play out.
Yeah. So even if we know that there won't be like thousands of cryptos in 2030 because many of them will die,
Correct.
Still there will be some competition. So thinking that you will be like the ring in the Lord of the Ring, it will not be possible. I think even for XRP there will be some competition. I think XDC has a remittance tool that will take some share. You have VET that might take some share of XDC and vice versa. So it's a full mix of cross chains, I would say, that in terms of use cases.
Yeah.
So we have to take that into account when you put numbers in. So you cannot put, okay, so I would say for XRP, daily they transfer from Swift like 3 to 5 trillions a day. So I put 5 trillions in it. It doesn't work like that, because a lot of it will be handled by R3, for example.
Right.
And by XDC.
Just to let everyone know, you did right now, people can play with the pricing on BTC, XRP, and XDC. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you going to add any more? I'm just sure people are thinking out there, hey, I own, such and such. I wonder if he's going to add that.
Oh, I can add. The only thing I have to know is the market digit and how it can grow and stuff like that. So XDC, I could find some information on the website, but if someone can provide me, for example, for Dogecoin or for something else, what is the market they try to get? The best would be to have sort of a little interview with one of the CEO, like for VET, for example, and ask him, okay, what is your market you address? What is the estimate of store value? What will be the amount of locked tokens on your chain? Will you burn? Do you plan to burn some? And with all those information, we can do an estimation of valuation.
I gotcha.
For XDC, I saw an interview for him where it said, okay, this is the market I address. This is for the amount I want. I found another article when they say, okay, we want to try to reach 100 trillion per year. So they have some numbers. That's why I took the numbers from, and it's quite similar to XRP network in some ways, especially concerning the value of the market. Store value, it's a bit more difficult to tell. But anyway, it's the same kind of token, because it's not a public token, I would say, for the retail. It's more for businesses. Right. So the ones that are for the retail, it's more like Dogecoin and Bitcoin. So if I have to do something about Dogecoin, I would maybe focus more on what I know about Bitcoin and try to see if there is any correspondence. But comparing with XRP, the use case are totally different. So Dogecoin is more P2P stuff.
I think in the future too, I would love to see Flare incorporated in this. We should. We should.
Yeah, but that's a tricky one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be nice to try to see what the market. I'd never find at least an article that says, okay, what DeFi is addressing, like in terms of volume for the type of markets it addresses, like for lending. What is the market of lending? What is the market of derivatives? What is the market of derivatives? I know, but it's not all derivatives.
The number is available out there to see how much is tied up in DeFi right now and all of the different chains that it sits on. But this is an explosive sector of the market. And I think making a guess today is just not possible. I think we need to wait like a year from now to
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
see it
I think
mature a little bit more.
Yeah, because now we don't know if it's just a bubble or not, or it's very difficult to know. It's true.
And I think there's going to be a lot more than just lending and borrowing and liquidity pools and interest. I think it's going to explode into, probably 20 some use cases that will be really, really exciting within the financial services. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Oh, Phillipe, it's just so exciting to have this tool kind of reborn and brought back to a point that is a little more, they did a great job, Susan and Robert, but to bring in now the multiple use cases or variables and factors that XRP has, you've just kind of given it a new version that is a little more accurate. And I think that it's a wonderful supplementary tool to those that are looking at TA and those that are looking at sentiment. So sentiment, TA plus a tool like this can really start to get you into thinking in realistic terms, I think.
Yeah. It's that's where it brings you back. It's when you see the amount you have to put in just to get a number you want to have. it's then you say, okay, if I want to have 1 million, I need a growth of 10% per year, which is really big. Now it has been much more than that so far, but it will end, it will reduce over time. And to say that, okay, I need 3/4 of 10 trillion, it's a huge amount of money, really a huge amount. And doing that only in 9 years, it's nearly 1 trillion per year.
Yeah,
so it means
pretty tall order.
Yeah, but I don't say it's not possible to do.
Right.
I say that the growth has to maintain its pace like at high level until the end. So
without any hacks on a major exchange and without any and without any regulation problems or hurdles. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many factors. But I think that the fact that you have given this a more updated version I love the way that your drop downs take place so that when you do click on it, it gives you an explanation of what exactly you're into there. I think that it is,
you can navigate here too.
Yes, it's really wonderful. You did such a great job. I really, really like it. So I think I'm going to, this is my plan. I just thought of is that we should use this video for some questions to come into the comments. And you and I will pay attention to those comments. And then maybe we do a follow-up video because there's going to be questions that came up that were not addressed in this video. So let's lose the opportunity in a couple of weeks from now to get together again, and we'll actually look at those questions that popped up and try to answer them in a follow-up video. Does that sound okay?
Oh yeah, it will really be a pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a little fluff for you.
Yes.
It's something I wanted to present. It's a little shout out to a guy. Unfortunately, I can't remember. Look at that.
I saw this on Twitter. I've seen it twice. I saw Kevin Cage showed it the first time I saw it. So cool.
Yeah, it's a bit like Fiat leaks.
Yes.
But in a 3D.
Right. And you can isolate the different flows, right? Or you can have all the flows together.
Yes, you can isolate different flows here with Fiat, and you can just remove the ones that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
So you can for the globe you can just stop rotate. So when you have just a point,
yes,
means that's an exchange. Okay.
Yes.
So Binance is here. Okay. It's Cayman Islands. Okay, I asked him. So I made some suggestion because it's just the beginning. There are not lots of explanation in it. So and every transaction is a line of a bunch of transactions, and it shows you the different, and you can make it bigger if you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's beautiful. It's like, and I
Very,
told him, okay, you should make an NFT of that.
yeah, right. I think it's
Um,
just really fabulous. Visually, it's fabulous. And also,
yes.
I think to visualize the transactions this way gives you
Yeah.
the global scale of this
Yeah. Yeah.
asset is unbelievable.
So well, I found it very beautiful to just it's a bit mesmerizing, you know.
Yeah.
And you have some new ones that comings like Canadian,
Mm,
it's for Emirates, Arab Emirates, something like that, or out like Australia.
mm.
So voila. So I just wanted to show that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
have to
can't.
track that down. Who is it that put this together? Do we have the person's name so we can
It's
give a shout out?
I I just have to check my messages. Maybe I don't have it here. Don't,
In the I'll track it down. I'll definitely put it
yeah, yeah, because
in the
he was
comment
he's
section.
German. I think he's German.
Mm, it's
I
very,
think.
very cool.
And no, I don't have it here.
Okay, well, I'll be sure to get it.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite easy to find out who is. And
So
but I
cool.
wanted to show because it was his try. He wanted to have to play with the 3D JavaScript stuff,
Mm.
and I think this is a brilliant idea to show how the money flows around the world, and it's very nice. Voila, that was my fluff.
Very good fluff. I don't have any at the end of this one, but I will maybe prepare for our follow-up.
Okay.
That was a good choice. Philippe, you are just fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for taking the time to update that valuation tool as well. I hope a lot of people play with it. And I think it's going to help everybody. And I do want to play with the other two, with BTC and XDC. Also, I have not done that yet, so I'm going to play with that. And yeah, have a very, very nice evening there in Europe.
Yeah, thank you. Now it's time to go watch a little bit of TV. It's 9 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, you're at the
And
end of
I
your
would like
day.
to thank you from the bottom of my heart for inviting me. Honestly, I didn't expect such recognition, I would say,
Oh,
because
no.
I didn't expect. I made it just for fun because I was, excuse me for the word, I was a bit pissed off because the site was no more reachable. It
Right.
disappeared, and I wanted to play with it because I loved it when it came out. And
Mhm.
I said, okay, I know and I asked some developers from the community, but they were working on the project, so they didn't have time. So I said, okay, I will do it myself. And that's why, well, and I just, okay, now it's done. I make it public and people will have to play with it. It's okay. But yeah, it's, thanks everyone for the feedback and I had so far, and it was just for pleasure, and it's free. No.
Yeah, so wonderful.
Voilà.
Thanks, Philippe. We will be in touch and we'll get together again on a second follow-up video
Okay.
after we
So,
take a peek at the comments.
okay.
All right, do take care. All right,
Bye bye.
sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.